All right, we with another edition of Forgotten Lion Players. You can check out the playlist. It's our second episode. We're talking about William Scott Mitchell. He was the quarterback for the Detroit Lions from 94 to 1998. Also had a stint with Miami from 90 to 93. Also the Orlando Thunder in 92 and the Baltimore Ravens in 99. He ended his career with the Cincinnati Bengals 2000 to 2001. Now, most older Lions fans remember Scott Mitchell. I believe he took over for Eric Kramer. Kramer was battling back and forth with Rodney Peete and Andre Ware for the quarterback position. And we'll talk about Eric Kramer in later episodes. Maybe do a follow-up on him because he still holds some Lion records and he is the last quarterback to win a playoff game. But let's talk about Scott Mitchell. Dan Marino went down in 93. All right. Scott Mitchell had a good stint. The Lions ran out there and paid Scott Mitchell. He went to Utah University. He is from Salt Lake City, Utah. He had some good quarterback stats there, man. In 98, he had 29 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. His final year in 89 in Utah, he had 31 touchdowns, 19 interceptions. And it says Mitchell was selected by Miami Dolphins in the 4th round, 93 overall of the 1990 draft. After serving 3 years as Dan Marino's backup, Mitchell became the Dolphins starting quarterback in 93 when Marino was injured. Mitchell then signed as a free agent with the Detroit Lions in 94. Mitchell led the Detroit Lions offense that included Barry Sanders and receivers Herman Moore and Brett Perriman, which I will get into how dynamic they were in the episode in his own. However, in 94, his first season as a starter for the Lions, Mitchell struggled in the loss to Green Bay. Mitchell went down with an injury and was replaced by backup quarterback Dave Krieg, hopefully I said his name right, Craig, I think it was, who led the team to the 1994 playoffs. Offensive tackle Lomas Brown on ESPN First Take later admitted he purposely missed a block, I remember that episode, and resulted into an injury as he was upset over Mitchell's poor play. However, a review of the game film and play-by-play logs on the game by football historian Andy Barala fails to corroborate Brown's recollection of what occurred. Mitchell regained his starting position the following year, and in 1995, he set single-season records for the Lions in touchdown passes with 32, which has been passed up by Stafford. Now, in passing yards with over 4,338 passing yards, both which later would be eclipsed by Matthew Stafford. Mitchell's Lions made the playoffs in 95 and 97. Mitchell stayed with the Lions through the 1998 season when he lost his starting job to Charlie Batch. You know, they used to call him on the on a radio station. They used to call him something else. He would complete his career with the stints with Baltimore and Cincinnati. So, yeah, he never got over the hump. But that season in 95, he went the fuck off, okay? In 95, Scott Mitchell played 16 games. He took the Lions to second in the NFC Central Division, 10-6. He had almost 60% completion rate. Like I said, he had 32 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. That would be a career high in touchdowns, and only, a few other times he threw less interceptions. Like I said, that year he was steaming, but for people who could remember, who don't remember, the Miami Dolphins blew the Lions out 37 to 58 that year in the playoffs in the wild card round. So Scott Mitchell, he had a really, really good time. He had a really good stint while Dan Marino was down. And you got to pay attention to stuff that nature. A lot of teams don't be ready to game plan for certain quarterbacks. With the Dolphins, you're ready for Marino. Marino is a different animal than Scott Mitchell. So once these teams get to drop on these quarterbacks, then when they make the adjustment, that should tell you how good a quarterback was. His stint wasn't long enough for the league to make the adjustment. And even in 93, his numbers wasn't that impressive for the Lions to go out and sign him. He had played 13 games, 133 completions, 133 completions, 233 attempts, 57% completion rate. He threw for over 1,700 yards. But he had 12 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. But he had an 84 quarterback rating. But the Lions ran out and gave him that money. And, like Lomas Brown said, he wasn't happy that Scott Mitchell was playing that bad. And Dave Krieg took in, and the Lions made the playoff quite a few times in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? They made it in 91. I think they made it in 93, if my memory serves me correctly. And that's where Eric Kramer, lost. 94, you know what I'm saying? And I believe they said they made it in 95 and 97. So the Lions in the 90s really wasn't that bad. You know, they actually was like probably a good coaches away and a few good defensive players away, but Herman and Perriman and Barry, man, if they had a good quarterback, I believe the Lions probably would have made a Super Bowl by now. And that was the era, man. That team was put together really, really well. They had to run and shoot offense, but they just didn't have a quarterback to get over the hump. You know what I'm saying? Wares, the Petes, the Kramers. I feel they should have kept Kramer. But once again, he was, steadily going back and forth with Ware and Pete, and neither one of them was that good. Well, Scott Mitchell really wasn't a move, and I don't understand they paid him that money. And history repeated itself. John Kidna blew like a 20-point lead versus Cincinnati and the Steelers back in the day when Carson Palmer went down, and the Lions ran out and signed John Kidna, if you remember. But Scott Mitchell wasn't shit. But you know what? The team around him was good and carried him to a lot of playoff success. The Lions in the 90s was always a quarterback away. Had they had Marino on the Lions, they definitely would have had multiple Super Bowls, in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think. Don't forget me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you got a request for this, hit me up on Twitter. If you got business question, query, sponsorship, hit me up there too. Or Facebook, one time for the one time, Mercy Sports Talk. Let me know what you think in the comments.